everyone, it's Nicole Noasat here today for Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. Today we are going to talk all about the Gemini Foil Press and making some scrapbook embellishment layers. So I have the Gemini Foil Press here. It's a really fun idea. You can take any sort of thin metal die and add it right to the heating plate here, as I'm going to do. This is a die from Gemini, and it will heat up that die and give the ability to foil on it. So what I'm going to do is put the die down face up. I'm going to add my Gemini foil. This is all by Crafter's Companion, and then I'm going to add this plate to the top of it just to heat it up. Now each different material that you use that you decide you want to foil onto has a different kind of rating on how long you need to let the machine heat up. So I'm going to be doing vellum today, so that's about 30 seconds to heat up that die. Now what the foil press is going to do is it's going to heat up that metal, and then we're going to add the vellum over top and create that foiled embellishment. There's some fun little hand grippies here that you can use in case you want to protect your fingers. There's some little tweezers, and there's also that pink silicone mat that you can use to put your metal dies on so that you don't melt anything on your table. So I'm going to go ahead and just take off the plastic plate, and I have my heated up die as well as the foil. I'm going to take the whole thing and sandwich it together, and now I'm going to run it through my Gemini. So Gemini is a really awesome die cutting machine. There's no hand cranking involved. You can see you just feed it through, and within honestly a few seconds you pull it out and you have a beautiful die cut piece. So you can see here the foil really looks great onto the vellum, and it's so simple. So if I want to do this again, all I need to do is put that piece right back into the foil press again, let it heat up for 30 seconds, and then come back again and repeat with more vellum. So I'm going to do this a few times. I want to have 3 or 4 of these kind of vellum pieces ready to go so I can use them to layer on my scrapbook page. Because the die I chose to use isn't a foil and cut die, I have to fussy cut mine out, but there are some really pretty ones available that you can get that will do the foiling as well as cutting around the image of the die cut, so you won't have to fuss with that cutting if you don't want. But this one here that I chose to use doesn't have that option, so I'll have to do a little bit of manual labor, but I like fussy cutting, so that won't bother me. So I'm just going to keep doing this and using my foil as much as possible to get my 3 or 4 pieces that I need here. And when you're done, you can see that you just take with the tweezers that the die off, and you can put it on your silicone mat to cool. Now I've gone ahead and I've done 4 pieces of that foiled vellum that I'm going to use as embellishment, and I'm going to get my scrapbook layout started. So I have some really pretty fall papers here from Pink Paisley that I'm going to use, and I'm just cutting down some simple strips to add onto my page. I have a variety of different colors, and I'm just making a 1-inch strip from each of those patterns. This is a really great way to use your scraps. And so you can see here I have my variety. I also have a pink grid background that is in that same collection, and I'm going to use that for the background on my page. I decided I want to cut these strips into 6-inch pieces just so I'm working with all of the same size, and the die itself with those foiled pieces is about 6 inches in length, so it kind of all will be even. And to be honest, what I'm going to do right now is not worry too much about any of it, actually. I'm just going to stick some adhesive down and stagger my strips along the right-hand side of my page. You can see I'm just running some tape runner and then adding that strip. I'm not using a ruler or anything. I'm just lining it up. The only thing I'm really taking into consideration is that I'm staggering those pieces so they don't kind of create a little bit of a line. When you look at it, I really want to have the pieces kind of offset each other. And I'm also making sure I don't have too much of one color or similar color in the same area. So I have pink here over top of the blue, and I'm using a darker shade of pink to kind of create some different variation of color. So really quick, this comes together really fast. I think this whole page took me about 42 minutes, including all the foiling that I did, which is really quite quick for a scrapbook layout. So again, just vary up your strips and your patterns and your colors, and once you line everything up, because you cut straight, everything goes quite nicely. Now I'm only using one large 6x4 photo on my page. You could certainly do a variation for that, but I want to kind of build my strips along the right side until I have just a little bit of an overhang for my photo. So my photo will overhang the strips probably 2 or 3 sections in, and that's just to create a nice kind of eye movement on your scrapbook page. I think if I had left a little bit of a gap between the two, it would look a little bit too open. So you kind of want to have everything kind of meld really nicely, and so that's what I'm going to do with my photo. So now I have my vellum foiled pieces, and this is where the layering is really going to come in. So I'm going to line my photo here where I think I want it, and I'm just going to take the vellum and with a glue runner, the taper I'm using right now is from Nicole, and I'm just going to add a little adhesive to the bottom, lift those strips because they're not completely all stuck down, and I'm just tucking those in. And because some of the strips are a little bit longer, I'm just going to trim them off and tuck them down. And so you can see you get that really easy layered look, without having to do a lot of effort, to be honest. That was pretty simple to add those little foil pieces in there. So I'm just going to add some stitching just to create a little bit of a detail along the edge there of my strips. And then I'm going to go ahead and I want to have just a little bit more dimension to those kind of strips. So I'm taking some foam adhesive. Again, this is a Nicole adhesive, and I'm just adding that just behind some of those, strips of paper just to give it a little more heightened dimension. And it allows the vellum there just to kind of have a nice little shadow. So it's just like a little layering tip, is use a lot of foam adhesive. And because I didn't add adhesive to the whole back of that side of the strip, it's easy just to lift up some of the pieces and add that foam stuff in behind. So now I'm going to place my photo in that top left corner of the page, and I want to kind of fill everything else in. So I've decided that I want to use some of these ephemera packs from the Truly Grateful collection. Obviously they match the pattern paper really well, and it's a great way to bring in all those colors that we used on the page. So I'm just going to grab some simple things here out of this ephemera pack. I'm going to use the hello as the title, and I pull out a few different options, and I end up picking just the word hello as well as a couple different flowers that I am going to group around my photo, as well as just a little kind of pennant flag that we're going to use later. Now I'm cutting my foam adhesive in half just so I can add that die cut phrase onto my page, and this will allow it to be the same height as my photo because I've also added some foam adhesive to the back of my photo. I really like doing that with photos. I find sometimes adhesive doesn't always stick well, and the photo should really kind of pop on your page, and having that foam adhesive will allow that to happen. So I'm just lined that hello up on my photo there so you can kind of see that it just very slightly overlaps where the strips start. And now I'm just going to sort through my embellishments and pick out the things that I want to use and what I might want to use on another project. I'm also going to shove all of this into a Ziploc bag, and I'm not sure if you noticed or not, but I'll do it again shortly. I trimmed off the backing of the packaging for this, and I shoved that into the Ziploc bag, so I kind of have an easier way to access those die cuts when I want them versus opening and shedding those clear plastic packaging that comes from the manufacturer. So it's just a little tip to kind of keep all your things organized. And so I'm going to do that exact same thing by ripping open this page, Evan's Collection Die Cut Pack 2. I have another Ziploc bag, and I'm just sorting through the flowers I know I want to use on this page. I'm trying to collect some in different colors, so I kind of draw a little bit more color in around that pink area of my photo. And I have just layered some of the photos together with flowers together, with foam adhesive. And I'm just tucking those in around that bottom corner of my photo, just to overlap onto the strips, just to kind of embellish that area. And I do want to add a few there to that bottom left corner of my photo, just to kind of draw in little bits of color over there. I'm going to take some leaves and staple them together, and then add foam adhesive to the back of those, and just tuck those in to kind of have a nice flow over top of my pattern paper. And I'm just going to add a few more little tiny bits, and then I wanted to add in some other embellishments. So I'm going to put all these little die cuts away shortly into my Ziploc bag, and then I'm going to start working on puffy stickers. So there's really great puffy stickers that come with this collection. So I'm going to crack that open and get some of those put on here as well, and then finish off with this pennant flag here. So I have super cute puffy stickers. Whenever I open a pack like this, I like to staple the clear backing to the back of the sheet so that everything kind of stays in place and nothing slips apart. And then I take the final embellishment pack, and I'm not going to open the sequins, but I am going to open the other bits and put that into a Ziploc bag too. So I'm just finishing off picking out what embellishments I decide I want to use for the page. I really love these puffy dots. They're great to use like enamel dots around the photos, and just to fill in some of those little empty gaps, or even if you need just like a little touch of color without adding a large embellishment. I thought about using the sequins because I wouldn't have minded some sparkle, but I'll be honest, I was a little lazy and didn't want to open the package, but for next time. So I think that's pretty much it. I think the only thing I really need to do now is add a little bit of touches of black. Sometimes when you use a lot of color, you need to have some variations of a neutral just to kind of ground out all those bright colors and everything. So I'm just using some black ink here, and I'm just going to add a few little droplets just to finish everything off. Here are some close-up detailed shots of the layers and the final image. And I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I will see you again next time on the Scrapbook and Cards Today blog. Bye-bye.